4 hours drive from Chicago. We are a medium-sized institution. So in the U.S., there's large institutions, medium-sized, and very small. We are about 12,000 students, so very medium, good size for academic learning. The university itself was founded in 1876, a very old institution. When we first began, we started off as a teacher's college, so we've continued that high level of academic quality because we are preparing many teachers to students like you. In the U.S., we also have what we call public institutions and private institutions. We are a public school, which means that we are accredited and backed by the state of Iowa. So when it comes to accreditation, we really like to have that accreditation from the state of Iowa and the government as well. We have about 90 different bachelor's programs, so many of you will be looking to come to the U.S. For your +4 after your +2 here. Undergraduate course is what we call it. And we have about 90 different programs. We are very strong in the business fields and the science fields, so commerce stream and science stream for the most part. But we also have about 50 master's programs, so that'll be after you complete your graduate or postgraduate course program. Like I said, we have about 12,000 students, a very medium-sized school. About 10,000 of those are undergraduate. So we very much focus on undergraduate education. So that means that a lot of larger schools have a lot of graduate students. With post-graduation, we have many more undergraduate students. We like to foster an environment where you guys can learn to grow for employment afterwards, or research, academia, post-graduation. Our average class size is about 23 students, so very small classes. And we like that type of environment for our students. It gives you a lot of one-on-one attention with your teachers, with your faculty. So you can ask questions in class, you can learn one-on-one interactions, things like that, which we think are very important for your undergraduate education. For rankings, a lot of times you want to find the best quality school for your program that is affordable to you. We are ranked number 2 in the Midwest. There's about 4,000 institutions in the United States of America. We are in the top 20% of those schools. We're ranked number 2 in the Midwest. So in the U.S., we segment in 5 different regions: the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Southeast, and Southwest. In the Midwest, we're ranked number 2, which we're very proud to have that ranking. We've had that ranking for about 4 years in a row now. We're ranked 13th in the nation based on affordability, academic quality, and accessibility. So what that really means is, for the amount of tuition and fees, we're giving you a high-quality academic environment, as well as accessibility to faculty, to infrastructure, to labs, things like that. Okay. We are one of the top 100 values in public colleges. Again, you want to make sure the value of the education that you're receiving is very high when you're attending university in the United States. And lastly, we do have one of the 50 safest schools. So of the 4,000 institutions that were surveyed in the U.S., we rank in the top 50 based on safety. Okay. Please. So Cedar Falls. I'm pretty sure many of you have never heard of Iowa. There may be 1 or 2 here. But we are the state right next to Illinois, in the area right about here. In Cedar Falls, there are about 40,000 people, so the population is very small compared to a lot of the U.S. But we are what they consider a campus town. So in the U.S., if you're not in a metropolitan area, you have less than 75,000 people living in the city, you are considered a college town, if you have a university in the city. So with the university population in the city of Cedar Falls, we have about 52,000 people total. But we do have a metropolitan area called Waterloo that's next to us with about 117,000 people. And we are ranked in the top 20 college towns in the U.S. Okay? So very good accessibility to things outside of the university, but still very safe for students. Last year, we voted number 1 for safest for crimes at the university. We had about 2 crimes throughout the entire academic year, so a very, very safe institution. I can't express that enough, how important safety is, especially for undergraduate students. You want to make sure you're studying in an environment where you feel safe, where where you're not threatened at any point, but you also want to make sure that you're having fun. And I think that Cedar Falls provides that, especially in a learning environment. So for our campus, just to give you a few highlights, it is about a 900-acre campus, so it seems fairly large to many people. But again, a very medium-sized school. We have about 65 buildings, and a lot of those buildings are academic buildings. So for either departments or a major will have their own separate buildings. So our College of Business has a building where all the College of Business classes are held. So that way you are constantly by faculty, you're constantly by students who are studying the same things as you. Again, in an environment, fostering a learning environment. For our sciences, physics, biology, biochemistry, chemistry, they have their own separate buildings. So you're making sure that you're studying at a university that values small classes, but as well as lab space. So if you are in the science field, we do have accessible to labs and professors quite frequently. And even though we are about a 900-acre campus, it is still about a 10 to 15-minute walk from the north side of campus to the south side. So it's a very walkable campus. Many of our students don't bring cars to campus. They either have a bike or they walk. But we do have a bus system in place as well. But again, a very walkable campus, a very safe community. I'll show you another picture of a map. So this is kind of a map of campus. The green space that you see is green space on campus. Okay, so we feel like we are a little bit segregated from the Cedar Falls population, but again, that's for safety reasons. We want to make sure that you, again, are in an environment where you feel safe, you can learn among other people. And many of our classes are going to be right here in the center. So for housing, we do have 8 hostels on campus. 7 of them are co-ed, and we have 1 that's all female for safety and comfortability of our female students. We do offer 9 or 12-month housing for students who usually their first year will come back to be with family and friends and things like that. But typically your 3rd or 4th year, we have lots of options for students to do internships, to have jobs, things like that. So we're making sure that you have housing options in the summer again, so you are safe. Including in housing are excellent meal plans. We do have 2 dining facilities on campus, one on the north side of campus and one on the south side of campus. And those facilities are award-winning facilities. We have lots and lots of options for our students. It's buffet style. They're open from 7 a.m. to about 10 p.m. in the evening. So they're open all day. You can go get food when it's convenient for you. Our campus is very focused on convenience for students. So we just started having this open for the majority of the day. It used to stop, but students complained that the timing wasn't perfect with their work or class schedule. So we changed our dining options to fit the student needs. Okay. So faculty at UNI, like I stated before, we were an institution that's very focused on creating great faculty, great teachers, either at the secondary level, the primary level, and university level. So 99% of our classes are taught by faculty members and not graduate students. Which is very important to us. We want to make sure that you're learning from the best of the best, not students who are in training. Okay? Professors at UNI keep weekly office hours. Every professor is required to have at least 10 hours in their office during the week. So when you have questions, when you have doubts, when you have concerns, you can have time to go to your professors, ask them questions, get more information as needed, as well as to sit and talk. A lot of our faculty members are very open, very personable people. And they're always wanting to talk to students, either personal issues or academic issues. Another great thing to point out, when I say get to know faculty members, a lot of our faculty members at UNI have connections. Connections are very important in the U.S. when it comes to finding jobs, finding internships. You want to make sure you have good faculty members who can write you recommendation notes, who can find jobs for you, who can help you apply for certain jobs. So again, our faculty members are very strong at UNI, and that's something we're very proud of. Students describe them as innovative, dedicated, and very personable people. And then more than 88% of our faculty at UNI have the highest degree in their field. And that's very important as well. You want to make sure, again, you're learning from the best of the best. And again, we want to make sure that we're giving you the best education possible for the price that you're paying. Value is very important. So for our academic colleges, I know a lot of you guys, just a quick question. Do you have science and commerce stream only?
Arts.
You have arts as well? Okay. So we have kind of the same thing. College of Business Administration, which would be commerce stream. College of Education, which is for people who want to become teachers or faculty members typically. College of Humanities, Arts, and Sciences will most likely be the arts and sciences, but we also have the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. So your psychology, sociology, criminology, things like that. Okay. Our College of Business is a very strong program in the state of Iowa and within the U.S. Again, we are one of the best business schools for the 8th consecutive year. We have one of the most internationalized programs in the state of Iowa for our students. And what that really means is our students are learning not just U.S. education and curriculum, but it's very internationalized. So you'll learn a lot of things from, say, the East and the West. Okay? Many of our students are doing internships or jobs abroad in their 3rd and 4th year. We think it's very important that you not only see the world in a U.S. view, but a world view. Okay? So our business majors especially are having those opportunities. Many of them, especially if you're an economics major, you're required to do an internship before you graduate. So what that really means is that we have to, as a university, provide opportunities. And that's something we're very proud of, to say that we can provide those opportunities to students. But we also have accounting, economics, finance, marketing, and management within the College of Business. And we are AACSB accredited, which fewer than a third of those schools in the U.S., so out of 4,000, fewer than a third of those schools receive AACSB accreditation, which is something we're very proud of. Our College of Humanities, Arts, and Sciences is our largest college. It's going to obviously house the arts, humanities, and the sciences. But that will be inclusive of chemistry, biology, biochemistry, things like that. Another one of our strongest programs at UNI when it comes to sciences, especially natural science. So with biology and biochemistry, with those two tracks, for the past 4 years, we've had a 100% placement rate into med school. So any student who majors in those two programs does well academically and applies to med school, get admitted to single med school, at least. Again, like I said, we have labs for each different emphasis in science. So if you are biology, you have different labs for your biology courses. So you're not competing with other students. A lot of schools in the U.S. you will have to compete. And a lot of times, some of those schools will have a focus on graduate students. Since we are highly focused on undergraduates, we don't have that issue yet. Our computer science program is very strong. Another one of the things that we're very proud of. Our computer science program has a lot of networking opportunities for jobs and internships. Okay? A lot of companies look for our graduates because they know that we're producing quality graduates who have higher education. And then social and behavioral sciences, again, one of our stronger programs, but that's preparing you for graduate work. So a lot of those programs, you may not find jobs afterwards, but you find entrance into graduate schools. Okay? Outside the classroom, which we feel, at UNI at least, most classes are about 15 to 18 hours per week. So you're only in the classroom a maximum of about 18 hours total. We want to make sure that students have a lot of opportunities outside of the classroom. And that will include undergraduate research. A lot of schools won't have this option at the undergraduate level just because the focus could be on graduate students or it's too large. We have about 3,500 student jobs on campus. Something that students say is that they want to work while they study. It gives them something to do. So we have about 3,500 student jobs. When it comes to career placement, career assistance, we do have career services on campus. And what they really do is they prepare you for, they do mock interviews with you. They do resume critique. They help you prepare for your work field. Okay. We also have athletic teams on campus and different student organizations. So I know a lot of times in secondary school, you have options to be involved in athletics and social clubs, debate teams, etc., things like that. At UNI, we really value those things for admission as well as students when you're there. Okay? We want to make sure you're well-rounded students. We want to make sure that you participate in high school, that your faculty, your teachers here know you well, we can recommend you. We want to make sure that you're getting a good foundation here, so when you're at UNI, you can excel much faster. Many of you know Harsha. Harsha is one of those examples. We are very, very happy with Harsha. He's been at UNI for about 4 months now, but he's done a lot. He's on our tennis club, so he competes in the state of Iowa among some of the other schools for tennis. He's involved in 3 different student organizations I know of. He already has an on-campus job. When he came here, he got immersed in our campus and he started to grow very quickly. I think that speaks volumes to the education here and the student that Kinsley is producing. So for our admission requirements, we do have a few things that we require. Application, obviously, but as well as transcripts from your schools here. We are one of the few schools in the U.S. that does not require testing for admission purposes. We want to make sure that your education here should speak volumes. We want to make sure that you did well here to give a good indicator of how well you do at UNI. So we look at your 9th, 10th, and 11th standard. So many students think that 10th and 12th are very important. Everything is important to us. To make our admission decision, we're going to look at 9th, 10th, and 11th. We want to make sure you're doing well, even when your board exams are not there. We also look at extracurriculars. So the more you do in secondary school here, the better your application will look at UNI. Again, we want to make sure that you're a well-rounded student. We want to make sure that you are involved, that you can be a leader. We have lots of leaders on campus. We want to make sure that that foundation is here as well. Okay. English proficiency is another thing that we require. With English proficiency, we want to make sure that you're prepared for academic classes at UNI. Everything is taught in English, and most of our programs are very rigorous. So we want to make sure that you have either TOEFL or SAT. SAT is not a requirement; it is suggested, but again, not a requirement. TOEFL is our requirement, and we look at about 79 or higher. Okay. Any questions on admission requirements before I proceed? Don't feel shy. It is pretty straightforward. Again, 9th, 10th, and 11th examinations, extracurriculars while you're here, as well as English proficiency. And again, SAT isn't required, but we recommend students who are interested in taking admission or at least applying to other schools in the U.S. If you're interested in more than one school, please apply and take SAT, just because we are one of the few schools that doesn't require it. SAT is a very English, American-based examination, and we don't feel it's fair to base our admission off of that only. We want to look at how you do well here. So for annual expenses at UNI, tuition and fees is about $17,000 US, and room and board is going to be about $8,000 US. So again, those are going to be the two largest chunks. So total is about $30,000 US per academic year. And our academic year runs from August till May. And our tuition and room and board is one of the lowest in the Midwest region, and we are ranked number 7 against schools whose tuition is about under $30,000. Okay? So very strong rankings there. I think our academic quality is very high for the price that you pay. You're getting a great value of an education at UNI. We do offer some scholarships to students, so if you are a very strong academic student here at Kendrick, you will be considered for scholarship. The way that works is once you submit your application, if you meet the minimum requirements, we email you and say, thank you for your application, you are admissible, please apply for this scholarship. So every student who applies does get a personal email from me, myself, letting you know that you are required, that you are eligible. I am the person at UNI who looks at your credentials to evaluate you for admission. So that's my primary goal there. And I also do some recruiting here, obviously. Our International Scholar Award ranges from $1,000 to $5,000 per academic year. And we consider GPA, English proficiency, and activities here. Again, that's why it's very important that you are heavily involved while you're here. So we know that you are a leader. Okay? We look for leaders when we hand out funds. So stay involved at this level. Okay? Don't think just because you have your 10th boards and 12th boards, it's not important. Academics isn't everything, especially when you're looking at admission at US universities. Social organizations and things like that are also very important to us. We look for very well-rounded students. Okay? The other scholarship that we offer at the point of admission is the Presidential Scholarship, and that's an $8,000 per year award. For this scholarship, SAT is required, and the minimum is $1,300 between critical reading and mathematics. So again, we're looking for very strong academic students, and we look for about a 95% or higher at the secondary school level. Okay? So again, very top academic students, very strong students. So those who are in 10th now, she starts thinking about preparing well and doing well. This is probably the best time now to make sure you're doing very well. I have business cards. Here's my contact information, as well, if you're interested in UNI or interested in U.S. education, please feel free to email me at any point. I can at least help you answer questions about UNI or U.S. institutions in general. The education system at UNI is a bit different than what you've been used to here. But I think UNI provides a very good environment for students to grow, for students to learn. I hear a lot of parents who are concerned about sending their students at such a young age to the U.S. From my experience, I was a student at UNI. I graduated from there with my bachelor's in marketing and Spanish. I think UNI provides a very good environment for students to learn and grow in a very safe place. We aren't in New York, so we aren't very large metropolitan areas where it gets a bit more crazy. We are a very safe and subtle community with great, strong values. I think that's something that many of our students are looking for, especially our parents. We want to make sure that parents feel comfortable with their decision to send their students to the U.S. So a lot of times, if I meet with you here, and I meet with your family here, I talk to your family here, I'll come to the airport to pick you up. Little things like that are very important to families that we have at UNI. Our international population is about 600 students as of fall 13. So we're about 700 now, but 600, 700 students, not very large. We do have enough staff in place to give you one-on-one attention, which I feel is very important. I've worked heavily with the international community for about 9 years now, so I've made lots of relationships and I understand how big a decision this is. So please feel free to ask me any questions. Again, I was a student there, I've worked there, I have lots of information for academics, social, as well as getting involved on campus, and also the adjustment. Again, I'm from Chicago, which is a very large city, so going to UNI was an adjustment for me. It took me about 4 to 5 months to actually feel comfortable being there. That was only 4 hours away from home, so I know how difficult it can be for students who are hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away. So please just feel free to ask me any questions you have, either on admission or life at UNI in general.
You have a question, Sundar?
What the education is? Every year I know you have like over thousands of admission forms. So like, is there any criteria on how many you select or like any criteria on what the activities
Criteria for selection? Okay. So criteria for selection. Okay. So for criteria, we do look at the CBSE scores for your averages from 9th, your 10th board exams, and averages from 11th as well. We want to make sure, again, that you did well all 3 years. We won't look at your 12th board exams for admission, only because it's very late to reach your results back. Our academic year starts in August. You don't get your scores back until May, typically. So we want to make sure that you know a decision prior to May, just so you have time to prepare for your visa, things like that. When we look at criteria, we're looking for about a 60% or higher. So many students from Penn State, I would be most likely to all students would meet our admission requirement. And it may seem low to some students, but that is still a B+ in the U.S. The grading scales are much different from here to the U.S. Okay, so we look for about a 60% or higher. When it comes to, like I said, the honors program, the presidential scholarship, we look for about a 95% or higher on all three. We don't look at specific scores, so as long as your average is high enough, that's fine. For students who want to go into the sciences, we do have some math requirements, but again, most students will meet those requirements in general just because it is very close to the 60% anyway. Okay. Any other questions on requirements?
Students, 3 categories. In your academics, then there are many who are doing academically well, like 60% you mentioned, but if there are 100 students who are there for 60%, then they will look at the next criteria, what are the activities you're getting in. Then there is a letter which you take it from your mentor and from your school principal, and then there is a recommendation which we give. That's what we did for Hasha also. We did give a recommendation letter stating that what all things Hasha has done, whether it is leadership quality, his extracurricular activities, sports, everything we mentioned, truly what you have done. Okay, we are not going to hide anything or add on anything. So we do mention whatever you have done in your 3 years or 5 years of pension career or pension time And accordingly, we will be given, give the information to them, because they will be sending us separately forms which we need to fill it and send it to them. That's how it goes. But minimum is 60%, which I was telling you, all my kids get more than 60. Am I right? There won't be anybody less than 60.
And then, especially with Harsha, Harsha's a very nice and very great guy, a very good student, but he wasn't the top student. And he did apply for our presidential program, and what we really looked for were the recommendations from Ma'am and his mentors here, so that we could see what kind of student he was. So again, it isn't always all about academics. We want to make sure that you're a well-rounded student who's involved in school, who's made relationships, and who has good connections with the administration here. Okay. And just as an
What makes this university different or unique from all the top universities in other countries? Like in India, we have IIM, universities.
So how are we different from institutions in India or institutions in the U.S.? Both. Unfortunately, I can't speak to a lot of the Indian schools here. From what I hear, and again, I don't know facts, there is a small issue with quality schools and placement. So there may not be enough spaces at these schools here in India. So a lot of students are now branching out to other countries for learning. What separates us from other schools in the U.S., just my personal opinion, our high focus on undergraduate education. A lot of schools focus on graduate students because that's where they consider the money is to be. We don't feel that way. We think that it's much more important to foster you all, to foster young people, to make sure that when they do go for graduate schools, they have a high quality education. We also think we're unique just because we do have a smaller population of students, so we can give them one-on-one assistance, one-on-one help throughout the academic year. Like I said, a lot of times, if you need a ride to the airport, we give you rides to the airport. You can find someone, things like that. So that's very unique to a medium-sized institution like UNI. Another thing that I think that's very great about UNI compared to other schools, 99% of our classes are taught by faculty members, not graduate assistants. It's very easy to find a school where the faculty member doesn't go to class. They have an assistant who will teach the class. We don't have that. Again, we want you to be learning from the best of the best. We want to make sure that your education that you're receiving is something that's valuable to you. So again, we're making sure that your professors are actually the best of the best. And the last thing, I think, our social environment. It is a very good social environment for our students. There's always something to do either on campus or off campus. Close to campus or further away. We have a city called Cedar Rapids. It's about a 45-minute drive. You can go there, and there's Bollywood movies, there's performances there. I mean, not close to campus, but if you want to get away from campus a bit, we do have lots of things that's close. Having Chicago close to us is very unique. Again, we're not a very metropolitan area, but we have amenities of a larger city. We have transportation to those larger cities. Again, I think the main thing for us is our focus on undergraduates, those 4 years of after year plus 2. Just focusing on that, those 10,000 students is very unique in the U.S. And again, we won't be competing with Harvard, we won't be competing with the top institutions. We're in the top 20% of all 4,000 schools. So there's lots of schools that are better than you and I, but it's really important to figure out what school is best for you, for what program that you're interested in. If you want to study business, I think UNI is one of the better institutions in the U.S. That's why I chose to study at UNI, because they do have such a great business program, very personable faculty members, lots of opportunities. I can't express enough to students at UNI how many opportunities that they go unnoticed because students won't apply for them. We have lots of jobs, lots of internships, and lots of scholarships that don't go to students because they don't apply for them. We're looking for a lot of students who will go and take the initiative to apply for jobs, to apply for internships. It's very important that not only the employers that are looking for you all from UNI, but for you, so when you are graduating, you can find employment, either here in the U.S., here in India. Our college business works with lots of multinational companies, and that's a changing shift, I think, for a lot of the smaller schools like our size. We want to make sure that you're not only preparing to work in the U.S., but outside of the U.S. as well. And again, employment in the U.S. is very difficult to find for students on an F1 visa. We won't lie and say that it's very easy. I like to be honest with students. It is difficult, and not everyone can stay in the U.S., but we want to make sure that you are prepared for employment here in India as well, or in any other countries. Okay? We're trying to work with multinational companies. With our sciences, I think having the different labs on campus, having faculty who are willing to work with you outside of class. We have a lot of summer research opportunities for our students, very unique to you and I, especially in the Iowa region. In Iowa, we are the only school that focuses on undergraduate research. Iowa and Iowa State, two other universities, focus heavily on graduate research. And you'll find that with much larger schools. Okay. Okay. Just let me say one more thing. Sorry. And just so you all know as well, our deadline at UNI, we understand that students in India, again, don't get their 12th board exams back until May. And we respect the fact that a lot of students will see if they get into the top institutions here before they make a final decision of coming to the U.S. So our deadline is not until June 9th, and that's for application. So if you are considering it after your top tier, top 1 schools, top 2 schools here in India or in the U.S., we know, a third option for students, a fourth option for students. So we do have a little bit later on the deadline. I have a few brochures here for 12 standard students, 11 standard students. I'm sorry I didn't bring it out for the 10 standard. But if you do have questions, please feel free to email me. I saw all of you jotting information down. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
Right, you'll have a chance to talk to them some more.
Yes.
I have to rush into another class, so I will soon talk to you. If I can get 5 minutes from you.
Yes.
Because, please, Brian, please, and I want to welcome Brian because, he's taking the trouble to come to us. Do you know why he's come? Do you know why he knows about chemistry? Harsha, who passed out of our 12. Did you ask him how well he's doing? Harsha has made that door wider. You never understood this language when I was telling you about internships. And I'm opening it up because I think of him as family now. He belongs to the Kenshri family as well. Harsha has opened that door bigger for you all. And that's why I had such a tremendous admiration for Harsha. Because he SMSs me constantly. And I asked him, when he got his first job on campus, right? He did very well in the interview process. You thought I was just making it up, right? He's right here. That's why I want to speak in front of him. Because he and I understand each other. I lived in the US, and I'm telling you this because you underestimated what I said. But there are certain things, harsh realities, that I'm going to say it in front of Brian. You will grow up if you go to the US, and I encourage you to go to the US. I encourage you to go to the US because you are still very immature and childish in the way you carry yourselves. You might not like it, but I think of you as my children. I think of myself as your father. And I must tell you this, you're very irresponsible still. You have no sense of accountability. But when you go to America, they will give you that accountability. You cannot say, I didn't do this today. That's okay, your grade is going to slip. You cheat in an exam, you will get nailed without any questions and summarily dismissed from the university. Summarily. No questions asked. And another person will not let you cheat from her or his paper because you're in competition with somebody else. You still do this. You will not do that anymore in America. You will grow up. When the university professor tells you this is what you need to do and he walks away, you better do it tomorrow. He will not care. The undergraduate teacher will not care whether you do it or not, because at the end of the result, you are doing the floors, cheating from each other, not wanting to do it. All that they will not care whether you do it or don't do it. So those people who are not doing the floors, cheating from each other, move on. Because they won't care. You paid their money. It's all based on the credit hours that you have taken. I want you to give you this harsh message. But I urge you and recommend you to go to the US. Because it will teach you good work ethic. That country is great. It will make you work hard. There's no cheating that happens. They will make you learn. If you don't learn, you will be back in this country so fast that your backside will be burning. It's great that he's taking the time to tell you this, because he goes to different schools, like the Aditis and all of these. But you're in the middle class school, and we teach you middle class values. You're not getting this message from me, so we are letting you listen to these people who come here. Harsha was not one of the best students, but Harsha is a fabulous guy, all around. All around. That's what our 11th and 12th is all about. And I want to say this in front of Bryant, because I want to purposely say this, because the values of this country, when you are an alumni of country, when you come out of your 12th, there are three things, and he will understand this better. Do you do more? Do you give back more than you get? That's why they teach community service regularly. Are you a scholar, athlete, artist, leader? He understands that, because sports is a big part in American schools and colleges. You want to go there because you will see. I was just telling him some of the names who were my classmates. A Herschel Walker and a Vern Fleming and Dominique Wilkins. Yes? He will know them. They were my classmates. Terry Lowe, Lowe in football, who played with the Philadelphia Eagles, was my classmate. Terry Gold. He is now a surgeon in Philadelphia. You will not know this. He was a safety. He was in my class, and I know how he studied. Much better than I did. But my point is, you will learn all this. The balance in academic and school and fun. This is why it's great that he is able to take this time and come here. And I'll have many more also come. But I recommend that. The third, so first point is, do you give back more than you get? Second is, do you in a given day, do you work out your fitness? Are you a Sal? Do you learn every day? Do you train every day? Do you practice art every day? And do you practice leadership every day? Sal. The third is what? He is a daily student. Daily student is what? Even in this profession, why should he do what he's doing today? He's away in the US, from the US. They won't care less, but he is learning from you today that he's come to Kentry now. And I'm purposely making this thing in front of him to know that there are different types of schools in India. Some have certain values, some of them have different values. Everyone is different. He also knows about the private schools in the US. And that is why I'm here. And the third, I want to make it very important. Very, very important to you, 10th going to 11th. And those 11th to 12th. We made sure, Brian, that everyone do an internship before they come to 11th. But they don't want to do it. They should. I wish you would talk to them about it. They don't. Because some of the good things that we tell them to do is they shortchange themselves. And whether it's the flow, whether it's the life skills, you shorten it. You should see, I wish Harsha sends you an email and tells you what he's been able to do in the US. There are many more students like him. There's somebody who's gone to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. There's some who have gone to Northwestern. The reason why I say this is because no compromises are made by American universities. No compromises. I have my own student from the US who has become like Bryant. His name is Sanjay Rupan. You can check it. He's for the Catholic University, the American University of Washington. But I didn't come and let him talk, but I let Bryant talk. It's only because internships make you grow up. And here's one of the things that we have. We were the first school to send an intern, Savita. Is Surya here? Yeah, your sister went to NCBS, which is the premier institute in India. You know that premier institute in the world. She did an internship there. But now what has happened? After we started that, there are 5 students going to NCBS from Aditi Malia because you people let go the chance. You didn't want to do it because Shrish asked you to do it. Hey, you know what? My father said that, or that person said that. You're more busy with gender infractions and all of those. Hey, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? You know, all this thing. Yeah, okay. But not in school. So how serious are you about your education? That's why we want to, people like Bryant should come and speak to you, because you will have a reality check. And I was telling Bryant, you're not growing up as adults, you're not kids as well. And this is why I worry about, because I've taken 15 of them, he knows it. And I'm speaking openly. So there's strengths and weaknesses in India, strengths and weaknesses in America as well. What I worry about you going to America is this. The first 6 months of university shakes you out, because you know, homesickness is one part of it. But if you are playing tennis, Harsha goes out and plays tennis with his club people. He goes and does other things. So he's keeping his mind busy and not worrying about his mother. He misses his mother, he misses me. He writes, I miss my Diwali function at Kenshri. He writes, and I can't do anything about it, but that's what you miss. But he's going to be a fabulous individual when he grows up. For himself and because of the university. But before we send you to the university, we make sure that you have that focus. And that focus comes from internships. Because you know why? The first 6 months has another pitfall in American universities. When you go there, the orientation that they give you is about binge drinking. They drink until they are smashed. There have been cases in American universities where they have been so drunk, in Yale or Harvard, one of those universities, where a university student fell off the window and died. They drank so much because they have nothing to do on Saturday nights and drink, or Friday nights and drink. And I warn you about just that part of it. But that's your own peril if you do that. This is why we teach you the values that are honed in India. They love hard work. In that country, you work hard, you'll grow up. You will do well. It's sincere hard work. Sincere hard work. So you see, when I speak in front of Brian, I am opening it up. If I am saying anything wrong and I'm lying to you, he can stand up and say that will not happen. But this is what we do in this school. We try to prepare you. And this is one of the things that CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education, is the best in the world. Because I'm a product of that. I did well because of my CBSE. Nothing else. We still have, Indians have a strategic edge because of math and science. Ask him. And those people who are thinking about commerce, and this is what I spoke to your dad, Ranita, of get a technical degree and you can always do an MBA. Then, because you have utilized the science strength of this country and got your MBA, and you can go to finance, you can go to accounting, you can go to marketing, you can do any of those. But if you take an MBA, then there are a lot more MBAs walking the street for trying to find a job. But my point is twofold, because I see the 12th, is the 11th also here? Okay, 11th and 12th are sitting here. It's a great opportunity that you have for him, that you have him here. Utilize it. And he's given you, do not disregard the resumes that we ask you to make. Ask him. You need to have a well-rounded resume. You need to have a very good cover letter. You thought Shrish was crazy? Ask him. Ask him. You thought internship, if you put internship, I've interned in that. Ask him. Whatever we have taken, Annie and Renu, you should let them know what are all the things that we have tried to do thanklessly for them. Why? Because they are unappreciated. Because you will be asked to do in that school. Otherwise you will come back. But India has become a land of opportunity now. Go get yourself educated, come back and reap the benefit. And here's what I heard him say. They encourage you to do internships during your academic year. And the universities in America encourage you as much as we do. But the question is, you have to take the opportunities. If you have already practiced getting a resume done, getting a cover letter done, Here itself, when you go there, you can be like Harsha. And Harsha, why Harsha? There are so many other students who I can tell you. Divya was here. Yes? So many students who tell us, hey, you know what, Vidya, Bharat, I'm glad you made us do this, sir, because now it's a piece of cake. They went to Jain College and she found that she was the best. You know why Presidency College wants you? Because they cannot make a student from themselves. They cannot make the best student themselves. They want you because they cannot. They want Kingshites. As simple as that. As simple as that. So when you look at it, the deadlines are important. No compromises. Today you can get away with Shrija Philip and say, ma'am, I didn't do it, I'll do it tomorrow. There's no tomorrow there. Deadlines are deadlines, isn't it? Application deadlines are application deadlines. You need to get a package done. You need to, because I've gone through this with 400, 500 students in the US. Even one letter of recommendation is late. Sorry, you'll have to choose, get admission next year. This happened to one of my medical students who did a 6-year med program. And his one recommendation went late from one of the persons that he was getting a recommendation letter from. His application was rejected. Not because he was bad, but he didn't get his recommendation letter in time. They want a full package. So when you, in 11th, and when you apply to 10th and 11th, when he ask you to write an essay, ask him, write an essay, you just scribble something and send it. Spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes. Why do we do that? It's because we want to see whether you have the focus, whether you want to know what you want to do. Do you have a resume? Why? It's because we want to place you in NCBS. I don't know if you know how big an organization NCBS is. Do you know? I want to tell you this, I don't know, I sent an email to you. I gave you a 5th standard theme books to one of the professors who came from Boston University. Yes? His name is Gerald. And you know what? He spoke to you all, right? 11th and 12th. 12th he did. Gerald, yes? He's become a personal friend now. Gerald did 2 things, and I want you to know. Gerald is the person who has isolated the gene that makes you fat. 20 years later, he will probably be nominated for Nobel Prize. Yes? He came and spoke to you. You all didn't know about it. He came from NCBS, where your sister went. He spoke to you. He didn't speak about what he had done, but he spoke about why you should do, genome sciences or whatever. But he's isolated the fat gene. And guess what? He came to Dilshah's ma'am's office because he wanted to see our theme books and our life skill boards and so on. And I showed him all of that. What did he do? He took the 5th standard theme book for his son. I want you to show it, and I want you to put it on the notice board even, Annie. And put it. His son, who is 6 years old, he's in 6th grade, wrote me a letter. And he didn't call me sir, this, that. Sir is all a nonsense. Yeah? This is the legacy of our British. But he said, Shrish, I enjoyed the theme books, and I'm using it. And I enjoyed what you have written about the son, and the picture about the son. Sharon ma'am sits there. Sharon, Geeta and Rekha were the ones who put those theme books together. And now I'm sharing with him the flow method of study. He's lapping it up, man, because he wants to compete in his school. Competition is ingrained into an American student. But here, hey, might as well cheat from another person. Why? Why can't you make yourselves better? I don't want to do it. Okay, you might not want to do it. Pay another lakh of rupees and get into the integrated programs. And what do? After that, you achieve nothing. So I'm telling you, 11th, and it's not for nothing I'm telling you this. Here's the thing, Gerald, I don't know if I'm trying to make them a habit of how to learn from a chapter. And the study habits are in books. I'm trying to make it a part of the system. And they're having a hard time coming up with it. So I'm trying it out from 7th because it's too difficult to change your habits. It's too difficult to change your habits. So I'm trying to make sure the 7th habit as a habit. If you don't know the keywords, if you don't know the diagrams, if you don't know the definitions and laws, if you don't know the formulas, go to integrated program. Even if you stand on your head, you will not score the marks that you need to. And instead of cheating, you make an example with your own applications, the thing that you like. Apply whatever concept that has been there. Apply it. You don't need to cheat because it will get ingrained in your head. But no, this is the last effort I make on you doing it, because I'm teaching the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th right now. So I just want you to know that CBSE is good, going to America is good. You utilize all that you have done in the school, whether it's your art or your leadership. Ask them. Ask him. You show leadership qualities, you'll be preferred. So we try to make you leaders. But this is what you have to see in yourself. Doing an internship is good. It's just not the grades that they see. They see how well you are being put together. And whether you're going to be able to exploit his university to the fullest. When you come out there, are you going to be, you're paid money for it, right? So you need to make sure that you get the best education that you need. So anyway, Bryant, I thank you again for being here, be a part of our family. And I encourage you to see what Bryant's University can offer you. And urge 11th and 12th. I would very much like you to, there are good schools here, no question, colleges here. You don't like me calling school. Yeah, but there are good colleges here too. But, you know, what is his name last year, that tall boy that passed out? You know, huh? No. He came home and I was not well. Shashank is another fabulous student. He just couldn't go there because he's the only son and they didn't want to let go, but he's a fabulous. He had come home to thank me for Diwali. But I will probably recommend a student for him. He's fabulous in his subjects. And so take this time, speak to him. Harsh, I know you want to be an IPS officer, whatever, taking competitive exams. Speak to him. You're a swimmer. Yeah, he's a national swimmer, the guy in glasses. Yeah, standing up. Yes. He is kind of burnt out with his swimming. So, and he has to grow up. And I encourage you to go and see what you can do. But thanks so much for everything, Annie. Make sure Bryant is completely comfortable here and taken care of. Yes. And we remain in tremendous appreciation.
Thank you.
Say hello to Harsha.
Yes.
And maybe give him a big hug from you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.